There's a moment most people have but rarely talk about. It's when you check your account, not in panic, not in crisis, just checking. And you realize that after all this time, all this effort, all these years of thinking and trying and hoping, you're still more or less in the same place. Not broke enough to sound dramatic, not secure enough to feel calm, just stuck in between. And if this sounds familiar, it's important to say this early. This isn't rare. It's not a personal failure, and it's not a sign that you're bad with money. It's one of the most common financial experiences people have, especially people who are trying. You tell yourself it's fine, you're doing okay. Other people have it worse, and most of the time you genuinely believe that. But then something happens. A bill arrives, an unexpected expense shows up, or you imagine your future for a little too long. And suddenly there's this quiet sinking feeling, like you've been running on a treadmill without realizing it. You've moved, you've worked, you've tried, but you haven't gone anywhere. What makes it more painful isn't the lack of money, it's the awareness. You know you're not careless, you know you're not stupid, you've made good decisions before, you've handled responsibilities, you've survived things that had nothing to do with money at all. So why does this one area of life refuse to change? Why does progress show up and then disappear? Why does every period of hope feel temporary, like it has an expiration date you can't see? Sometimes it feels like your finances improve just enough to remind you of what's possible, and then something inside you quietly pulls you back. Not through chaos, not through disaster, but through small, ordinary choices that somehow undo everything. You don't even notice it happening until it's already done. And the most unsettling part is this: it doesn't feel like failure. It feels normal. It feels life. Which is why it's so hard to escape. Because when a pattern feels normal, you stop questioning it. And when you stop questioning it, it starts to define you. This is where most people get trapped, not by lack of opportunity, not by lack of knowledge, and not even always by income, but by an invisible cycle they mistake for reality. A cycle that keeps you financially stuck while convincing you that nothing is wrong. You don't wake up one day and decide to sabotage yourself. It usually looks much quieter than that. It looks like earning money, then slowly losing momentum, making progress, then doing something that gently cancels it out, feeling motivated for a while, then strangely tired of trying again. From the outside, it doesn't look dramatic. It looks responsible, normal, even reasonable. You pay your bills, you get by, you occasionally feel proud of a small win, but beneath that there's a constant low-level frustration, the sense that you're capable of more, yet never staying there. And this is where many people get confused. They assume the issue must be strategy, or income, or discipline. So they try harder, learn more, push themselves. But if that were the real problem, progress would stick once effort increased. Instead, it resets, which tells you something important. What keeps you financially stuck isn't usually a lack of information, it's a pattern. A cycle that quietly resets you whenever you get too close to real change. The core problem isn't that you don't know what to do with money. It's that part of you doesn't feel safe doing better than you are right now. That might sound confusing. After all, who wouldn't want more stability, more freedom, more breathing room? But the human mind doesn't optimize for improvement. It optimizes for familiarity. Your current financial level, even if it's stressful, is familiar. You know how to survive here. You know how to think here. You know who you are at this level. Real financial progress doesn't just change numbers, it changes identity. And the mind resists identity change far more than it resists discomfort. This is why earning more money doesn't automatically solve the problem. If the internal pattern stays the same, the numbers just move around it. This is also why generic advice rarely works, because it treats money like a mechanical problem when it's actually an emotional one. At a deeper level, your financial behavior is shaped by memory, conditioning, and beliefs you didn't consciously choose. If you grew up around stress, instability, or constant worry about money, your nervous system learned something early on. Money equals tension. So when things start going well financially, your body doesn't relax, it tightens. You might feel restless, uncomfortable, on edge for no clear reason. And here's a key sign many people miss, the first signal that this cycle is active. When things improve, you don't feel relief, you feel pressure. You might spend money not because you want to, but because holding on to it feels strangely heavy. Not spending creates pressure, spending creates release, and so the cycle continues. This is the part most people misunderstand. Self-sabotage isn't always loud, it's not always reckless. Most of the time, it's subtle. It's upgrading something you didn't need right after things stabilized. It's losing focus once momentum builds. It's avoiding long-term planning because it suddenly feels overwhelming. Not because you want to fail, but because success feels unfamiliar. Another layer of this cycle is self-image. If deep down you don't see yourself as someone who keeps money, you will unconsciously act in ways that restore that identity. Identity always wins over intention. You can consciously want freedom while subconsciously believing that people like you don't get to stay there. So when money comes in, it feels temporary, like something that needs to be used, spent, or given away before it disappears. This belief often forms early. Maybe you watched money come and go. Maybe stability never lasted long. Maybe struggle became part of who you are. Over time, your mind learned to associate consistency with danger and instability with normalcy. So when things calm down, something inside you looks for disruption. Not because you enjoy chaos, but because calm feels unfamiliar. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Until your mind learns that stability is safe, you will keep recreating instability. Not intentionally, not consciously, but predictably. That's why forcing discipline doesn't work long term. It creates resistance, pressure, internal conflict. Real change starts with awareness, not control. Instead of asking, "How do I stop spending?" you ask, "What emotion shows up when I don't?" Instead of asking, "Why can't I get ahead?" you ask, "Who would I become if I did?" These questions are uncomfortable because they challenge identity, not habits. Another shift is learning to tolerate calm. For many people, chaos feels alive, calm feels empty. When life becomes financially stable, there's less urgency, less adrenaline, fewer fires to put out. The mind mistakes this quiet for boredom and boredom for danger. So it creates problems. Learning to sit in calm without disrupting it is a skill, and like any skill, it feels unnatural at first. One more shift is slowing down impulses instead of fighting them. When the urge to spend or undo progress appears, don't suppress it. Observe it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to protect me from feeling? Most of the time, the answer isn't about money at all. It's about fear, exposure, identity change. As awareness grows, the cycle weakens, not because you become perfect, but because the behavior no longer runs in the background. You stop panicking when things go well. You stop using money to regulate emotion. You stop needing struggle to feel grounded, and progress stops feeling dangerous. Being financially stuck is rarely a sign of low intelligence. It's a sign of an unresolved relationship with money. When that relationship changes, behavior follows naturally. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to allow yourself to outgrow an old version of you. And when you do, money stops being something you fight and becomes something that simply responds to who you are becoming. That's when the cycle ends.